So if you're asked to solve what sine of 15 degrees is without a calculator, you can use one of these identities to help you. Okay, so this is a given fact that if you have two sines, a sine of two angles, you can break it up into these two separate terms: sine of alpha, cosine of beta, plus sine of beta, cosine of alpha. So let's use that to rewrite this in red here. If we're not able to use a calculator, we've either had to memorize or we memorize the values for triangles for 30 degrees and 45 degrees triangles. So how about a 45 minus 30? That will still equal the 15 degrees we have. And now our alpha is going to be 45 and our beta is going to be 30. So this formula isn't quite right because this says the sum of two angles. We need a second formula. So this is the formula we're going to need. Okay, alpha is 45 and beta is 30. So let's plug that into the formula. So that's what it looks like when we plug 45 and 30 into their corresponding places in the formula. And again, I get that from identifying this as alpha, that is beta. So now that they're plugged in, we have things that we can get without a calculator. Sine of 45 degrees, that's roughly a 45 degree triangle, and we should have memorized that that's square root of 2 over 2 for each side length. So if you look in the hypotenuse is always 1 in the unit circle. So opposite over hypotenuse for 45, that's square root of 2 over 2. And I also need a 30 degree triangle for cosine, 30 degrees. 1 for hypotenuse of the unit circle. And then 30 degrees, the opposite side from that is always supposed to be 1/2. So that makes square root of 3 over 2, so the Pythagorean theorem can hold there. So cosine of 30 degrees means the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse of your reference angle. So adjacent divided by hypotenuse here is square root of 3 over 2. And we can use those triangles to help us with the other ones. Sine of 30. Sine of 30 would just be the opposite over the hypotenuse for this triangle. So sine of 30 is going to be 1/2. And then cosine of 45 is the adjacent over hypotenuse for that triangle down there. So that's square root of 2 over 2. So when you simplify those, you get square root of 6 over 4 when you multiply these fractions, these fractions here. And then these fractions over here, you have square root of 2 over 4. So they have common denominators. It means we can subtract. And that's where you can leave your answer.